So, hi everybody, and welcome to this Careers and Ideas video about the mentoring scheme. And we've got with us today a mentoring pair that have come through the whole process with some success for the mentee ultimately getting a role at the end of it. So, we're going to be talking to them about how they found the role of mentor, the role of mentee, and how the process worked for them. So, I'd like to introduce Jack Fieldsand. Jack, if you would like to introduce yourself a little bit.
Hi everyone, I'm Jack. I'm the fortunate mentee that managed to get a role through this process. And I'm just going to speak to you all about my experiences with the mentoring program.
Great, thanks, Jack. Sorry. We've also got Julie Brown, who was the mentor. Julie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi everyone. I'm Julie Brown. I'm an in-house patent attorney. I've been involved in the scheme, I think, since it started. And yeah, Jack has been one of my successful mentees.
Thank you both for joining us today so that we can share the experience. So I'd like to start with you, Jack, if that's okay. So how did you actually find out about the mentoring scheme?
I think I was in a position where I was like desperate for any sort of IP experience I could get. And I was just Googling around, and then this popped up in terms of the Summer of IP event. So I actually just went to a few of those, and then I saw there was a mentoring scheme attached to it. So I joined it, gave a couple of mentors a message, and thought, oh, this is a little bit too good to be true. And then lo and behold, a couple of weeks later, Julie replied. I was like, oh, winner. So, and then it's been history ever since.
Turned out to be a winner as well in terms of the end result.
Yeah.
So I'd like to ask you both about the next question, but I'll come to you, Julie, first. So when you signed up for the mentoring program, what did you want to get out of your participation? And actually, do you think you've achieved that?
Yeah, I wanted, I think, first and foremost, to spread the word on careers in IP and actually how interesting and diverse that they are. There's many different types of roles. Also because it's quite a niche profession, I think people aren't always aware of it. They come to it by accident, and I think there is more of there is a little bit more getting out there now. And people are starting to hear about it, and that's why this Careers and Ideas website is fantastic to kind of help as the first port of call. But it's actually very difficult to speak to somebody who has a career in the IP profession because it is quite small. And I think anything where you can have connections and help give people a chance to ask directly and also get some advice is really useful for potential new entrants.
Yeah, it's yeah, I agree. It's quite a niche profession and isn't always that easy to find out information about. Not all career services seem to know about it particularly. So you, Jack, as well. So what did you hope to get out of it? And maybe the answer to that's a little obvious.
I think I had various hopes, a few a little bit more ambitious than others. I think going in, I was just hoping to get a little bit more experience around the profession because I wanted to be able to talk about, look, I'm actually interested in this profession. I've gone and done stuff outside of uni. So if I did get an interview, I'd have this to be able to talk about, which would be nice. Another one was a bit more mental specific. I wanted to know what being in-house was like. So there's not too many people you can speak to about that. I was quite fortunate Julie is an in-house patent attorney. And then finally, obviously, the big ambitious one was the end result, having a job out of it. Because I suppose that's what we all want, ideally.
And you definitely achieved that.
Yeah.
So in terms of what you knew about the IP profession, Jack, how much did you know before you started being mentored? And I guess what was your biggest unknown about the profession that Julie really helped you with?
Yeah, I think for me, I'd been to maybe it's called an insight day at another firm prior to joining the mentor scheme. So I had a little bit of an idea. However, there's always that worry in your mind that are they sugarcoating everything and are they selling you that this job is brilliant and then I'm going to get there and my hours are like 9 a.m. till 9 p.m. or something, which I'm not too keen on. So I wanted to find out honest experiences about what the career is actually like. And again, I wanted that in-house insight because that's really unique. So I suppose the biggest unknown was more the reality of the job without trying to sell it to me in terms of, I want you to come work for me, because there's not that benefit for Julie per se. She's there to be as honest as possible and give me the information so I can make an educated decision for myself. So I thought that was really, really helpful for me.
Really, really interesting to hear that your experience is that Julie and the scheme is about people being open and honest about what the profession is. And I was saying before we recorded this to Jack, actually, the people in the IP profession are actually pretty nice. So they're not generally are sugarcoating. Um, so yeah, so Julie, so obviously you've worked with Jack and you've worked with other mentees, but what do you think's important for them to know about the IP sector? What are the kind of the unknowns that they should be interested in finding out more about?
I think there's various things. I mean, different companies will have different ethoses, different views on training and things like that. And understanding how they can be different helps then when you go into interviews, because you can think more about questions that actually could be useful to ask and find out, because it could be a key decision maker for you in the end, whether one firm is your choice or another. I think understanding a little bit more about what the training program is like, also how that can vary from company to company with the different support levels that there are. Um, Having a bit of a feel for what the job might entail by being able to ask a mentor, which can then again lead to more questions that you can ask to find out a bit more about the firm that you're applying to. So a mentor is really there, as an open sounding board, but also to give you, like Jack said, some honest information, so that can better inform you when you carry on with this kind of process of applying for roles, or even deciding if the IP profession is something that you suit for.
Um, Obviously, Jack, you have got a role, and you got a job offer that you're going to be taking up in due course. But when you think about the mentoring specifically that Julie gave you, what do you feel that gave you in terms of actually securing the role? How did that help?
Yeah, I think Julie's been really hands-on throughout. Like, I can't think of a single stage of the application process where she wasn't there to help. So, for example, all the way from drafting cover letters to checking points on a CV and rephrasing stuff, Julie has been amazing in that regard. And then when I was fortunate enough to get first round interviews and things like that, she was there to give me some advice, do maybe like a mock interview or something, and just discuss like the difficult questions where it's like, describe this object. How would you how would you compare it to, like, let's say a prior art, the classic paper clip or a bulldog clip example? So she's been there to talk through stuff like that with me and let me bounce ideas off her. And then all the way through to afterwards, getting a job. I was fortunate enough to get two offers, and it was Julie was there to help me weigh up which one I'd want to take and give me some, let's say, unbiased advice about what she thinks in that regard.
Fantastic. So every step of the process, there's
Yeah.
been some benefit from having a mentor that knew the profession. That's really, really, really good. I'm really happy with that. Um, so Julie, we're coming into Summer of IP again for this year, and that's why we're doing this video. So Summer of IP, careers and ideas more generally, the mentoring scheme that you two have both been part of, they exist to help raise that awareness of the IP sector and give especially opportunities to people who perhaps wouldn't normally have access to the profession because they don't know anybody or their career service don't know about it, or perhaps are from an underrepresented group. Um, what do you think that the kind of the future of the IP profession looks like?
I think it's looking really positive. I mean, I have to say, I thought from my experience mentoring Jack, you know, he was so enthusiastic, so willing and interested in asking questions about the profession, and really quite, I think, insightful questions about what the role involves and what you do in certain scenarios. And I see that with other mentees that I've got now, it's that there is a steady pipeline of people that really are interested. And I think the profession is at really an interesting juncture. I mean, it's like everything, you know, everyone's talking about AI and what effect that's going to have on training and things like that. But I think for our profession, AI will help us to maybe streamline some things, but the training program is there for a reason, because we need people that are really, you know, insightful and understanding of the role and the client relationship, and those things are as important in the future as they are today. And AI will help us, but it's not going to replace these roles. We really do need keen new entrants into the profession. And I think with technology always innovating and advancing, you know, this is a profession that's really, really important.
Yeah, I'd agree. It's definitely one that's a profession that's on the up and can is well placed to take advantage of things like AI, because we're for patent attorneys are especially are very technology and innovation focused. So yeah, that's lovely to hear that you think it's on the up. So to both of you, um, why would you recommend the Careers in Ideas mentoring program instead of just trying to do it alone? If to somebody that's looking to get into the IP sector.
Yeah, I guess I'll go first and give Julie a break for a second. Um, I think I'd massively recommend it on the aspect that it's really tough to find out insightful points about this profession without a little bit of guidance. So not only does it give you, let's say, the worst case scenario, bullet points on a CV, in reality, it's going to give you a lot of talking points. So if you are lucky enough or fortunate enough to get to an interview, you can actually bring some really interesting stuff to the table and say, for example, in my case scenario, I was able to compare some private practice to in-house stuff and how that differs and have a much more complete understanding of what being a patent attorney is versus what you can just find online on Google per se. So I think it gives you some really niche talking points that really help set you apart.
You, Julie?
I think that the role of the scheme is there for whatever a mentee needs it to be. So if you're coming up to the end of a degree, weighing up, do I want to stay at university? You know, maybe for the patent profession, maybe do some higher degree, or do I need to get my applications in at this point? You can be having just those kinds of discussions. There's no, you know, long-term commitment to the process. So whether you just want some initial advice, understand, okay, if I go off and do a master's or a PhD, is that then going to make it more difficult? Or do I need to apply now? You can get that information if you just need maybe some help understanding, well, what is this role? What is it really all about? You can get advice on that. If you already have done a lot of work and you think, no, I know this is the career I want, how do I break into it? And you need some more sort of focused careers advice, the scheme can help with that. So it's very flexible and tailored, I think, to what the mentee thinks is right for them. And that's one of the questions usually that would be asked quite early on is, what are you hoping to get out of this scheme? And we'll try to, you know, adapt.
Yeah, I think one of the nice things is we've got plenty of mentors in the system, so there's lots of different perspectives. So you can find a mentor that will give you a perspective that is what you're interested in finding out more about.
Yeah, and if it turns out that the mentor, because the mentee usually matches with a mentor on the platform, but if the mentor feels maybe they're not quite the right fit, they don't have that right background, then they'll suggest to the mentee, look, perhaps this person is on the mentoring side is maybe better placed with their background. So, you know, we'll obviously try to do what we think is best for the mentee and what it is they're hoping to get out of it.
Yeah. comes back to the fact that everyone in IP is lovely.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think, it's a very open profession and very welcoming, and everyone has had to go through a sort of long training process, and because of that, everyone is very supportive of the entrance.
Yeah,
And it's such an interesting and fascinating career. We're not trying to sugarcoat it, but if we really enjoy our roles, then we're really keen to promote that to others.
absolutely. So we're just wrapping up now. So Julie, I'll come to you first for final thoughts. Is there anything else you want to add to tell the audience?
Um, Sometimes it might take a little while for you to get matched up with someone, but don't sort of be disheartened. Keep sort of on the scheme if that's what you're looking for, or if you feel you haven't quite got everything you need. And don't be afraid to ask your mentor, maybe for more detailed advice. Take advantage of careers and ideas summer of IP scheme. That's a fantastic way to get some early insights and make connections, and go from there in the job.
And finally, you, Jack, anything else you want to add?
I think from a person who's been in the applicant shoes, and you guys will probably be in a similar spot to I was maybe 6 months ago. I think it's incredibly tough to get into this profession. I wouldn't go in applying to only specific firms. I'd apply everywhere you can and really put the time into your applications and researching the profession because it's tough and it's challenging. But if you do get a role, it'll be worth it.
I think that's a great way to finish. So thank you both for coming along and speaking about the mentoring relationship that you had and what you both got from it. Just to everybody who's watching, as Julie said, there's lots of information out there on the Careers and Ideas website. So please do have a look at all of that. Sign up for some of the Summer of IP events. More information is going to be on those soon, and they come around every 2 years as well. So if you just happen to miss this year, there'll be another one in a couple of years too. So thank you both, and thank you to our audience.
Thank you.